The village of Aquaba sat nestled between 2 rivers and 3 hills, a land where the trees whispered secrets, and the wind never blew the same direction twice. The people of Aquaba were proud-rooted in tradition, strong in culture, and bound by unspoken laws. But amidst the harmony and rhythm of daily life, there was one disruption, a dark cloud that hovered in the form of a mad woman. She appeared one rainy season barefoot, her hair matted with mud, her eyes wild like a forest spirit, and most strange of all, she was pregnant. They called her Karuan, which meant, the broken one. No one knew her real name. She spoke in riddles, sang lullabies to trees, and whispered to the winds. Children were warned not to approach her. Mothers held their babies tighter when her silhouette approached. The men called her a witch. The women called her cursed. Only the old, hunched over their wooden staffs, dared to say, "Not all madness is madness." Aruan wandered the edge of the village, near the abandoned well where once a tragedy had occurred many decades ago. She would sit there for hours, sometimes talking to the stones, sometimes placing palm kernels on the ground in curious patterns. Her swollen belly rose like a mystery. No one knew the father, no one dared ask. But she never harmed anyone. She never begged. She never complained. And that, perhaps, was what frightened them most. By the 3rd moon of Aruan's stay in Aquaba, her presence had gone from strange to terrifying. It began with the whispers. The winds that blew from the east began to carry sounds. At first, it was laughter, childlike, soft, and melodic. Then it became weeping, strange and distant, as though someone was mourning deep beneath the soil. People said if you listened too long, you'd feel something grip your heart and make you weep too. "I heard her speaking to her unborn child last night," said Yajide, the basket weaver, as she pounded yam in her compound. "What did she say?" asked her sister, crouched by the fire. "She said, 'Soon, they will all remember. Soon, the drums will beat for the forgotten.'" Children were forbidden to go near the old well. Hunters claimed that their traps were being tampered with, found snapped open, with offerings of cola nuts beside them. Even the dogs refused to bark when Aruan passed. The elders gathered beneath the great tree, a baobab so wide it would take 10 men to encircle it. There, beneath the hanging lanterns and the smoke of sacred herbs, the Council of 8 debated her fate. "This madness is a disease," said Elder Falomo, pounding his walking stick. "She is a spirit in human form. She has no family, no roots. What if she brings a curse?" "But she has harmed no one," said Elder Adaba, the village's oldest seer. "Not all those who wander are lost. And not all madness is madness." Chief Ogundiel, a man whose face was carved from silence, listened without a word. But his eyes, deep and knowing, flickered with something rare recognition. After the meeting, he stood alone under the baobab, his gaze fixed on the night sky. A memory clawed its way up from the dark pit of his mind, a name once whispered in love, now buried in guilt. But the past always returns. Chief Ogundiel sat on his stool, surrounded by calabashes filled with offerings, yam, cola, and palm wine. His palace was silent except for the rhythmic ticking of the water clock. He sent away his wives, his guards, even his loyal messenger Tay. Alone, he unwrapped a bundle from beneath his royal mat. Inside was a locket made of brass, old and worn. He opened it, revealing a faded portrait drawn in charcoal, a young woman with wide eyes and a radiant smile. The woman in the picture was not mad. She was Ebony. Once, she had danced for him beneath the moonlight, her laughter like bells echoing through the valley. Ebony was not from Aquaba. She was from a rival village, Ellora, a place once at odds with Aquaba over land and trade routes. Their love had been forbidden. They had met in secret. Whispered dreams. Promises made beneath the silk of night. But then came the war. Ellora had accused Aquaba of poisoning their sacred stream. In the chaos that followed, Chief Ogundiel, still a warrior then, had led the raid. Ellora burned. Blood spilled. And Ebony vanished. He had looked for her, secretly, for years. But she was never seen again. Until now. Aruan the mad woman was Abony. And the child she carried. He dared not finish the thought. Word spread that a healer was coming. Not just any healer, Mamayu, the priestess of the river Ashen, known across villages for her ability to read both the body and the soul. She arrived wearing a robe of cowries and feathers, her staff carved with symbols no one dared interpret. Her eyes were like river stones, deep, calm, and unblinking. "I will see the mad one," she said upon arrival, her voice thunder and whisper in one. The villagers watched as she approached Aruan by the old well. Aruan looked up, her belly now enormous, her lips moving in silent prayer. Mamayu sat beside her. They said the two women spoke without words. That the wind stilled. That the clouds hung low. When Mamayu returned, she walked straight to Chief Ogundil. "You know her," she said. The chief said nothing. "She remembers everything," Mamayu continued. "Even the fire. Even the betrayal. Even you." Ogundil clenched his fists. "Is she, truly mad?" "She is not mad," the healer replied. "She is guarded by spirits. Spirits of vengeance, of protection, of memory. And the child she carries is not just a child." The chief's heart pounded. "What is it then?" "The child is an answer. And you, Ogundil, are the question." That night, the village of Ikwaba slept uneasily. Aruan Abony sat by the old well, humming the melody of a forgotten lullaby. The same one she had once sung beneath the stars in Ellora, arms wrapped around a warrior who had promised her forever. But forever had burned with the flames of war. The wind shifted. Mamayu returned quietly and knelt before her. "They are stirring," she whispered. "The ancestors. The watchers. The ones who remember." Aruan's eyes, though wild, were alert. "They said he would forget me. That love from across bloodlines always ends in fire. But the fire did not kill you." "No," Aruan replied. "It awakened me." Mamayu touched her belly. The child inside shifted. The ground trembled slightly, barely noticeable, but enough. "The child carries power," the healer said. "A lineage long buried. A claim unspoken. And a curse undone." Aruan's voice softened, her madness folding into clarity for the first time. "My child is the last of the royal blood of Ellora. And I am no common mad woman. I am Abony of the sacred line, daughter of the moon matron, keeper of dreams." "And the father?" Aruan's eyes glistened. "A man who forgot love when duty called. But his blood still flows through the child. He must remember. Before it is too late." The villagers woke to red skies. A blood moon had risen, casting the land in crimson light. It was an omen, a sign of transition, transformation, or doom. The animals grew restless. Drums beat without hands. The river turned the color of rust. In the center of the village, the talking drum rang out. Boom. 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 It called everyone to the great tree. The entire village gathered, men, women, children, all drawn by something they could not explain. And there stood Aruan. No longer wild. No longer barefoot. She wore a robe woven from blue and gold fabric, symbols of royalty embroidered into every seam. Her belly swelled like a sacred drum. Her hair had been combed, braided with cowries. Her face painted with white lines of the moon goddess. She stood tall and proud beside Mamayu. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Some tried to speak but found their tongues frozen. Chief Ogundil stepped forward, his voice shaking. Abony? She looked at him. No madness. Just memory. You knew I lived, she said, loud enough for all to hear. And still you let them call me mad. I thought you were dead. You wanted me dead. To forget. To rule in peace while I roamed the earth like a ghost. Tears welled in his eyes. I never stopped looking. But you never told them the truth, she shouted. You let your shame bury me. But I rose. I rose with pain. I rose with power. And now I rise with truth. She raised both hands, her voice thunder. This child I carry is not just my child. He is the son of two kingdoms. The heir of Ellora and Iquaba. The bridge between broken bloodlines. And he comes with a choice for peace, or destruction. The people were stunned. Elders fell to their knees. The child kicked within her womb. And then, lightning split the sky. In the days following the blood moon, silence fell over Iquaba like a burial cloth. But silence never lasts. Secrets began to stir like maggots under a stone. Whispers turned into confessions. Elder Phalomo was the first to break. We knew who she was, he said, his eyes sunken. We knew she had survived the war. But we feared her return. Feared what it would mean for the chief's reign. You silenced her. Mama, you asked. She came to the village once. Quiet. Alone. With eyes full of sorrow. We called her mad to keep the past buried. The villagers gasped. Others followed. The priest of Ogun, once a commander during the war, admitted he had seen Abony fleeing the burning village. He had turned his back, letting her walk into the wilds barefoot, bleeding, pregnant. I thought it was mercy, he said. Now I know it was cowardice. But the most shocking revelation came from Chief Ogundil himself. In front of the great tree, he dropped to his knees before Abony. I loved you, he said. But I was afraid. Afraid of losing my people. Afraid of uniting with the daughter of our enemy. You were afraid of love, she corrected. And look what your fear gave birth to. He bowed his head. Let me make it right. Her voice was stone. Then claim your child. The skies over Iquaba darkened in the middle of the day. Birds flew in circles, crows cawed without reason, and the goats refused to eat. All around the village, nature shivered with anticipation as if the world itself waited for something ancient to wake. Aruan, no longer just the mad woman, but now fully Abony of Ellora, was taken to the sacred hut of birth, a place that hadn't been used in 2 generations. Only women of divine lineage had birthed there, and its doors had remained sealed, its floor dust-covered, its walls painted with the stories of queens. Mama Yu lit incense made of 7 herbs and whispered chants passed down through river spirits. Inside, Abony screamed, but it was not only the cry of labor. It was a cry that echoed across time, summoning ancestors, shaking the ground beneath Iquaba. Women of the village surrounded her, helping, praying, crying. The wind howled. Lightning flashed across the sky. Thunder roared like ancestral drums. And then, silence. A single cry pierced the air. A sound so powerful, even the trees seemed to lean in. The baby had been born. A boy. But the child was unlike any other. His skin was bronze like polished earth, his hair as dark as the midnight river, and his eyes, oh, his eyes glowed golden, like embers of the gods themselves. Around his neck was a birthmark in the shape of a crescent moon, and his tiny hands clenched and unclenched as if already aware of the weight he carried. The midwives gasped. He bears the mark of both Ellora and Iquaba, one whispered. This is no ordinary child. But even as joy stirred, Mama Yu frowned. She lifted the child and spoke. The child is born, but the curse has not lifted. Abony, weak and pale, turned her head. What do you mean? Mama Yu's voice trembled. A curse lives in the land. In the bones of the village. In the silence after your name was buried. It fed on your pain, your exile, your forgotten royalty. The curse must be named to be broken, she continued, and the one who cast it must confess before the ancestors. The village froze. Every eye turned toward the great tree. Toward Chief Ogundil. The chief walked forward, slow and heavy, as if each step pulled from the depths of his soul. He removed his beaded crown, the sign of his authority, and knelt before Ebony and the child. His voice broke like dry wood. "I confess," he said. "Before the ancestors. Before the spirits of Ellora. Before the soul of Ebony and the blood of this child. I chose my throne over truth. I chose fear over love. I buried your name to preserve my reign. I branded you mad to silence the whispers of my guilt. And I watched this village mock you while knowing the royalty you carried." Gasps rippled through the crowd. "I betrayed my own blood. My own seed. And I ask now forgiveness." As his words hung in the air, the skies shifted. A low rumble sounded, not thunder, but a drum beat. From nowhere, drums began to play. No hands struck them. No drummers sat behind them. Yet the rhythm flowed, steady and ancestral, echoing like a heartbeat through the soil of Equaba. A warm wind blew through the village, carrying the scent of river lilies. And then, a blinding light emerged from the sky. From the heavens descended the spirit of Ellora's last queen, a figure wrapped in moonlight and shadow, her voice like water over stone. "The truth has been spoken," she said. "The curse is broken. But the wound must still be healed." She looked at the child. "He shall be called Oromaipe, the one who repairs destiny." Then she vanished. And so, the people of Equaba fell to their knees, not in fear, but in reverence. For they had witnessed not just the birth of a child, but the rebirth of a kingdom. Years passed. The village of Equaba changed. No longer did they refer to Arun as the Mad Woman. Now she was called Queen Ebony the Remembered. She sat beside the great tree, not as an outcast, but as a mother, a queen, and a symbol of truth. The sacred hut of birth was renamed in her honor. And her story was carved into stone, taught to every child who sat at the feet of the griots. As for Chief Ogundil, he stepped down from his throne, choosing to serve as a keeper of history, a living reminder of what happens when fear rules over love. And Oromaipe, the child born under the blood moon, grew swiftly. He spoke like a wise elder at age 3. At 5, he could recite the names of every ancestor in both Ellora and Equaba. Birds followed him. Rain fell when he whispered. The earth warmed where he walked. By age 12, the villagers declared him the bridge between worlds, the child of truth, unity, and divine purpose. On the day of his initiation, he stood before the two rivers, lifted a staff carved from both Equaba's baobab and Ellora's moonwood, and declared, "No child of love shall ever be buried in shame again. No woman shall be silenced by men's fear. No truth shall be forgotten in the name of power." And so began a new era, an era of memory, of justice,